everybody, this is Marin McIntyre, and we're talking about color. I wanted to show you guys some of the things I've learned about color when I did some research about colors for websites. So this is the basics of what you need to know about colors for your website. One of the things that I learned was that there are 16.8 million colors available on the spectrum, and that is a lot. So this is kind of a picture of a graph that shows you all the different colors just as a tiny dot. So it's amazing how many choices we have, and with that, how do we decide what will be the best for our particular website and our particular message? The first thing I think that is really important to do is to understand the color wheel. So this one is a basic color wheel, and it has the primary colors red, blue, and yellow, and then it has all the secondary and tertiary colors in between. So these are kind of broken up into, they're in a wheel so that you can see the complementary colors to each one. So complementary would be a color that is directly across from the color that you're using. There's a couple of things to note on this one. You start with hues, and those are the truest versions of a color. So they're very bold, and they can draw a lot of attention to, with using that color. You can use a tone, it's a softer version of the hue. It has a little bit of gray added to it to soften it up. And then you have your tints. So tints have white added to them. So if you're going to be using a whole bunch of different colors, often if you use hues with quite a few colors involved, it's overwhelming to the eye. So tints are better since they're lightened up with white. And they kind of end up to be like the bright colors and the lighter colors instead of the really bold colors. And then you have your shades, which have black added to them. Those colors end up looking really rich. So there's different hue, tone, tints, and shades for each color on the color wheel, and that's something you want to take into consideration when you're working with your colors. You can, if you're doing a color scheme, sometimes you want to stay with all tints, or all shades, or all tones, or all hues. Or if you're doing, all blues, you want to go with different versions of blues. And I'll show you some examples of that also. So this is a good way to start by choosing a color scheme. You can see by the shapes on these little color wheels how it shows you to connect colors and to use them together. Some good ones on some of the websites I was looking at, they said that the triadic and the split complementary are two of the best ones for beginners to use. This is an example of a monochromatic, like I was talking about with using the blues. They're using tones, shades, and hues of the blue, but they're all in the blue. So this is a really cool website. I thought this looked really sharp, and it's all in one color. And this one is an example of a complementary color scheme. So you'll find this a lot on sports teams and things that you want a lot of contrast. Complementary is a really good way to go. And so I thought this one was a pretty good example. This one is a split complementary. So you've got the blues and greens that are over pretty close to each other, and then you've got the brown, which is on the opposite side of the color wheel. And this one is going to be analogous. That means it's right next to each other, as you saw on the color wheel diagram. So the red, orange, and yellow, and even the green are right next to each other. Usually analogous means that it's the three right next to each other. They do have the green, but it is also right next to each other. And I discovered this 3-color rule. I think it's more of a suggestion, but they were saying that If you use like a triadic color scheme, or you can also do this with the split complementary, that what you want to do is choose one of those colors as your primary, one as your secondary, and one as your just like a little bit of pop to really accents a very few certain things. So you'd want to use your primary color to use on 60% of what you're designing, and then a 30% of your next color, and then just one of those colors you would only use about 10% of that color. So that's a good makeup of ratios for the colors for a website. And then something that's really important is color psychology, and that is what the science of how color affects human behavior. So that would be basically using the right colors to portray the message that you want people, the users, to receive. There's a couple of things to consider. You want to make sure that you're using the colors in the right way. Colors all represent different actions and behaviors. If you have a bright orange, sometimes that is kind of like a caution, or yellow. So you want to make sure you use colors at the right time. An example of that would be like if you're using neon colors for like a funeral program, like that's not the time to use those colors. And so you want to be aware of what is the message, what are you designing, and what colors represent the message that you're putting across. You want to consider your audience, and then the purpose, what you're trying to achieve with the message. So color psychology, there's a lot more to it, and I did put the reference here in the bottom. It's small, but you can look at the website that I found a lot of information, and they talk about how women like certain colors better than others, and men do. So you want to look at your demographic, your audience, and find out what the kind of colors that they respond to best, depending upon who, the demographic, the age groups, the interests, and then you want to put colors that are going to bring those traits out on your website and show the content and draw those people in. And then the last thing we want to talk about is the WebSafe colors. This is a chart that has the hex codes for all of these colors. There are a lot of options, and all of these colors are the WebSafe version, so this is a really good chart to use. It is small. You can look it up, or you can zoom in and see the different codes, but there's the hex codes, and these are all the WebSafe colors. So I hope this helps you to figure out where to start by thinking about your audience, thinking about the message that you want and what colors would best serve you, and then using your color wheel and your color scheme patterns to help you find colors that will work well together and help you to create the message that you're going for. So thank you for watching my message, and good luck with your program and your website. Have a great day.